What's up guys, Andrew Pullock Sports here, and I'm back with another video. And today unfortunately I have to make a video talking about the Toronto Blue Jays being eliminated from the MLB playoffs this year, losing 3-0 to the Cleveland Indians, losing the series 4-1, and Cleveland's moving on to the World Series. The second year in a row that Toronto has lost the American League Championship Series and ultimately do not get to the World Series again. Now the reason why this one stings a little bit more this year is because I don't want to jump the gun, but the Jays have a lot of good pitching, yes. We do have a lot of good bats, but this team is going to be really different next year because we're probably going to lose 2 or 3 impact bats next season. Jose Bautista and Edwin Encarnacion and maybe even Michael Saunders have played their last games as a Toronto Blue Jay, which really sucks to say. I'm going to have another video probably next week or maybe even at the end of this week, depending on how much information I can think about this week. I want to make it a good video about Jose Bautista and Edwin Encarnacion and about the contributions they've had to this Toronto Blue Jays team over the years. So that video will be coming. Michael Saunders, no disrespect, but I don't have enough to talk about him for like a full video, so I'll just touch on him right now. Michael Saunders, don't be surprised if he's the first guy that's signed by the Blue Jays this offseason, if we even attempt to sign all 3 of them, which probably won't happen. But you could see probably Michael Saunders being the first one signed. He probably won't get as much money, obviously, but he might be a guy that's kept. I wouldn't be mad if they re-sign him. It just depends on how much money they take away from Edwin and Jose. So anyways, to the point of this video, the Jays pretty much got thumped 4-1 in this series. I mean, this series could have been a sweep for both teams if you ask me. Toronto had a chance to win in Game 1. They had Corey Kluber on the ropes through like 3 or 4 innings, had 2 guys on base every inning. But of course, the Jays' batting average with runners on base and 2 outs or something like that was like less than 100, which is absolutely brutal. I think it was like .71. Like games 1, 2, and 3, they probably could have won any one of those games. Throughout this series and throughout the postseason, the Jays got excellent pitching. The bats were awake in the Texas series. Like, I don't understand how the Jays can go from one side to the next. In this series against Cleveland, it looked like they couldn't hit anything. The Blue Jays got excellent pitching from Marco, Jay Happ, Marcus Stroman, Aaron Sanchez. All these guys were on their game. Even our bullpen was really good. Cecil has been just brilliant. Biagini, Roberto Osuna, like Grilly, everybody has been good. I know I'm going to forget somebody, but regardless, like Liriano early on, like we've been getting some good pitching, and it's been consistent. But yet the Jays' bats are like out of this world, 8 runs a game, to them not knowing how to get a guy in scoring position. It's basically the story of this series. If the Jays would have put up runs, not even like a crazy amount, if they would have put up like 4 or 5 runs every game, we probably would have beat Cleveland. We might have swept them, and it at least would have went to 6 or 7 games. This Cleveland team didn't even get a lot of hitting, but that shouldn't be an excuse for us to not hit. They blew it. The Jays literally blew it, and people are going to think I'm crazy, but the Jays were the favorites in my opinion. Yes, the Cleveland Indians had a wicked team this year and a wicked pitching staff, but the way that we can explode, no other team can do that. And I don't care what team you are. The Jays have an explosive lineup, but they didn't do anything in this series. It was almost painful to watch. Some of these guys were almost automatic outs. Like when Russell Martin stepped up to the plate, pretty much an automatic out in this series. Jose Bautista, pretty much an automatic out. At one point, I even looked at Donaldson and said, oh great, Donaldson's up. Like, that's so bad. Like, another thing that I'd like to touch on is the Trevor Bauer situation really quickly here. Trevor Bauer was bleeding from his finger. He got stitches after he messed around with a drone, you know, because that's what all grown men do when they're about to pitch in a major league game, is they go play with their drone and cut their fingers open. Anyways, you can't tell I'm salty. He goes out there and tries to pitch. He's bleeding. And then he gets taken out of the game by Francona. Well, not really by him. I think what was his name? Laz Diaz or whatever, the home plate umpire, says he can't play like this because he's bleeding too much. So he gets taken out and he gets a standing ovation from the crowd clapping. There was no cheering for him being hurt. There was no arrogance. There was no narcissistic, how do you say that word? The Jays fans gave him a standing ovation. They weren't being rude. They weren't cheering because he was hurt. They were cheering because he went out there and tried, and they could tell the effort that he gave. And then, this is the part that confuses me. He takes off his hat and his glove, I believe. I can't remember what he does. And he waves to the crowd. And I'm thinking, you know what? That's pretty cool. And I know he's had some comments about Toronto and Canada before, I believe, on Twitter. And some of the Cleveland players aren't very big fans of us. He waved to the crowd. And then after the game, he points to the crowd and goes 3-0. And says on Twitter that, like, basically says that Canada's classless and that we were being, like, arrogant and sarcastic, basically, towards him. So you got the standing O, you waved to the crowd, so I guess you were also being sarcastic if we were being sarcastic or whatever. That's not what we're about in Toronto and in Canada. And I remember tweeting this stuff out, and people are like, this ain't hockey, you don't cheer and clap for somebody who's been hurt. I don't know if you realize this, but we're in Toronto, Canada, a hockey market. We're used to cheering for guys like that when they get hurt, and we're saying, you know what, good effort. You're a gamer, you went out there, you played your heart out, you're bleeding. You know what, like, we're gonna clap for you because you gave it your all. And for some reason, Cleveland and Bauer just figured we were being, some word I can't say on this video, but a-holes to Bauer and Cleveland. Like, I don't know what else to say because I'm shocked. I mean, I honestly thought that he was acknowledging the crowd, and then I went on Twitter and everybody was saying the same thing, that the Jays fans are classless because we're clapping for him. This really sucked for me too as a baseball fan, because when we played Texas, every single promo that they played was Bautista flipping the bat and Odor punching Bautista in the face. I don't want to see that crap anymore. I want to see them play baseball. I want to watch Texas and I want to watch Toronto play baseball. We sweep them, we move on, we go to Cleveland, and I'm thinking, finally, a fresh series. There's no beef here. They might have said a couple things about Canada, whatever. Then the Bauer crap happens. Bautista runs his mouth when he shouldn't have. And all of a sudden, it's a Bloodgate, frickin' Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, commentary, Twitter polls, whatever, and the series isn't about baseball anymore. It's about goddamn social media. And it almost ruins the game for me. I almost don't want to watch because I know every second commercial break when they come back, it's going to be some dumb comment that Bautista made or Bauer made or whatever. That I just wanted to quickly talk about that Bauer situation because it really did bother me. Now again, I don't want to make this video too long, but let me just say this. The Jays had a great season. We made it into the wild card spot. I mean, I was hoping for another division title, but we didn't get that. I'm not sure what I'm going to call this video or if I'm going to put this in the description or not, but maybe this is a question some Jays fans can answer. Have the Jays hit their peak? Now, that's a tough pill to swallow for some fans, especially me looking at this lineup in the rotation, but there's just something about me that thinks next year there's going to be a big shakeup, because if we lose those impact bats, that means that we're going to have to trade our pitching depth to get more bats, because the free agent market isn't very good, and the Jays don't look like they're ready to spend any money, aka Rogers don't want to increase our payroll for some reason, even though, you know, when a team's close to a World Series, that's kind of what you do. You give them money so they can take the next step, but it's like the Jays are like, oh, we're there, but hey, next year we're going to take 10 steps back. So like I said, they had a great season. This Cleveland series definitely sucked. Andrew Miller was lights out. The Jays couldn't do anything. You know, sometimes it looked like our players were trying to work for the grounds crew, swinging at the dirt. And also, a lot of pitches were being watched. I felt like we were watching strikes and then swinging in the dirt, like basically every at-bat, which sucked. We didn't get big hits from the guys that we needed to. And Russell Martin looked absolutely awful in this series, even behind the plate catching, which is usually his strong part of his game. And I'm a huge Russell Martin fan, so don't get on me for that. You know what? On to the next one. Next year, we're going to have to come out swinging again. I'm probably going to have a couple Blue Jay video topics this week and next week. I mean, we have to talk about Jose Bautista and Edwin Encarnacion. I don't know what else to say, but thank you for a great season, Toronto Blue Jays. I can watch my Leafs and my Raptors now, which, I mean, yep. Both those teams got to do something for me. I mean, the Leafs are rebuilding, but the Raptors, they got to do something for me this year. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. I know this video might have been all over the place at some points, but it's a great season. And like I said, I'll have videos coming out pretty soon. So thank you guys for watching. Subscribe, like the videos, whatever you want to do. I'll see you guys. Peace.